What do I think about this news that just happened when it comes to Algorand? Even though nothing I say is financial advice, Algorand, or should I say more specifically, the Algorand Foundation, they did announce that when it comes to Bullfrog, or more specifically, should I say Bullfrog Power, they launched sustainability certificates powered by Algorand. Why do I find this pretty interesting? Well, it's because I think this kind of harps on Algorand's sustainability efforts because Algorand is supposedly carbon neutral. And I find that pretty amazing because when it comes to Algorand, they care about sustainability, and some other layer one blockchains out there, sometimes it doesn't seem to be such a core focus for them. But in the meantime, though, when I take a look at something like Algorand, it seems to be like a focus for them. So this is why I am pretty excited when I see something like this, because I think it kind of puts more towards the narrative of Algorand and its focus when it comes to that. Now, the thing is, sometimes you like to tell me, okay, no one really cares about Algorand because take a look at when it comes to Algo, is it doing the best? Well, as of right now, no, of course, right? I mean, in terms of hypothetical price, when it comes to Algo, it's not doing the best. And when it comes to it, market cap currently, as of right now, we're seeing at around 1 billion. It's not doing the best. But at the same time, my point of view is that a bunch of layer one blockchains out there are not doing the best. Even take a look at Ethereum, which of course Algorand will never be more popular than that, but I'm just saying, even Ethereum, we take a look at the pullback it had, right? So this is like kind of just the general thing that's happening as of right now when it comes to the altcoin space overall. So I don't think sometimes it's a true representation of what Algorand is fundamentally. It's just more so the altcoin space not doing the best. I mean, I get it, right? When it comes to Algo, people like to say, oh, why didn't this kind of like partnership do anything? Well, it's because it's not during an altcoin season. And also on top of that, it's not during a time when, the sentiment for altcoins are doing better because, or should I say, are doing like hypothetically not as disappointing, I would say, as right now. Because even if we, let's say, take a look back in October or something like that, had this news came out, maybe the sentiment would be a little bit different. Maybe people will actually take a look at stuff like this a little bit more when compared to right now. But this is just my perspective. And my point of view as well is that when it comes to Algorand, people like to say, oh, $5, Algo is currently around 36 times lower than that. I'm totally aware of that. But at the same time, when I take a look at a market cap of around 44 billion, in which it would hypothetically have, considering current circulating supply at the hypothetical idea of $5, my kind of perception is that when it comes to BNB, especially back in 2021, like we saw it at one point reach over 100 billion in terms of market cap. Now, granted, we take a look at BNB. I mean, it's done way better than Algo during the cycle because we saw BNB reach a new all-time high during the cycle, whereas Algo kind of did not. It really didn't actually, but I'm just saying. But even besides that, personally for me, I still am waiting when it comes to Algorand because I still like the fundamentals. I still like what it's doing. And also, I just don't think I've seen an altcoin season, so I'm just still waiting. I mean, granted though, I could easily not wait, right? No one's really telling me to do this. And even if someone did, I'm making the decision by myself. But in the meantime, though, I still want to focus on this just because I like what they're doing. But only time will tell because I cannot control anything when it comes to this. But yeah, I'm just staying patient nonetheless. Now, also, my point of view is that when it comes to Algorand, when compared to some other of its competitors, what I like about it is that it has an aspect of ISO 20022, which I didn't even really kind of like think about initially when I think about Algorand, right? Because when I think about a project that has an aspect of ISO 20022, kind of my mindset is automatically something like Stellar, for instance, kind of more so that vibe that's focused on, the global trade and finance space. But when I take a look at something like Algorand, it's not something I would originally expect. So then I find that pretty cool. Because if we take a look at it, some other projects out there, in order for sometimes for them to really be considered that they're kind of a player within that global trade and finance space, people do sometimes want to see that aspect of ISO 20022. But when it comes to Algorand, it's not really a project like that. However, because it does have an aspect of that, I think it makes it a little bit more versatile when compared to some other of its competitors, which don't have that, arguably in some cases. Not to mention as well, people like to say, well, Algorand have these pretty cool partnerships and all this, but who really cares? Well, I think it's kind of laying down the groundwork, and especially maybe in the retail side of things, in the short term, like a lot of my friends personally don't really care. But at the same time, what could care about this? I think it's an enterprise, right? Because even historically, at one point, I saw how Algorand was allegedly the technology of choice for over 2,000 global organizations. That's pretty impressive in my perspective. So I think stuff like this could matter in the enterprise level. Maybe in the retail side of things, it won't really matter that much, but I think as more and more partnerships, more and more things that it's doing, I think that could really play into the narrative of Algorand. However, also on top of that as well, my kind of perception when it comes to, let's say, something like this partnership, people like to say, oh, no one's really going to care about this 5 months later or 6 months later. But in my perspective, sometimes people do take a look back at what a project did, even during times when the project wasn't necessarily doing the best. So this is why I still like seeing what I'm seeing when it comes to Algorand. Now, in the meantime, though, kind of my perception is that Algorand, as kind of popular as it is in the grand scheme of things, people like to say, oh, it hasn't really done much. Well, actually, in the grand scheme of things, despite the massive pullback, ALGO, right, or should I say Algorand, it's still like a top 60 project in terms of market cap. Like, it's not something that just went all the way down to like top 200 or top 300. That doesn't seem to be the case, despite the market cap being at around $1 billion. Now, also, in the meantime, my kind of perception was that when I take a look at those 2023 times, when I take a look at times in 2024 before, it had that pretty okay rally in December of that year, when I saw the market cap hovering at around $1 billion, like, I wasn't necessarily like disappointed or something like that. I was still dollar cost averaging. So even as of right now, if the market cap is back at around that 1 billion range, I'm not going to necessarily complain about that either, because if my intention is to kind of dollar cost average once a month, like, I don't know why I would complain about, relatively speaking, market cap levels in which I haven't seen in quite a while. That's just my point of view. And also, ultimately, a market cap level that I didn't even mind to begin with, dollar cost averaging into. So yeah, I mean, it was just something I wanted to talk about real quick, this partnership, and also kind of my thoughts on this. But in the meantime, all I'm doing is just staying patient, and I guess that's pretty much all I can do as of right now. However, also on top of that, to just kind of harp back on the sustainability side of things when it comes to Algorand, we take a look back quite a while back ago. Remember when NL Group, right, from Italy, how they partnered with Conio to launch a solar panel kind of product, right, when it comes to Algorand. So that was pretty cool. When it comes to, the solar panel side of things, I find that pretty interesting to me when it comes to Algorand. I take a look at what they're doing as of right now when it comes to sustainability. And also on top of that, supposedly Algorand is carbon neutral. So just overall, I'm just still waiting. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. But I just wanted to make an updated video real quick to just talk about Algorand. Personally, for me, I'm not only just going to talk about a project when it's doing okay, and then when it's not doing okay, I don't talk about it. If I'm just a fan, I'm just going to keep talking about it and just talk about the news and updates. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. However, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.